Dean Spanos, because he's truly thrilled about this opportunity and thrilled to you all have been so welcoming to us, but also apologetic that he couldn't be here. I know he would much rather be sitting in his seat than me. But this is one of these unique moments that happen in the NFL because of our draft and the reason that we're here. It's also a very special time for him and the Chargers organization to be there. It's sort of a spawning of a new family for the Chargers. And so he needs to be there to welcome the 10 new players that will be coming out of college and joining our team this year. So on his behalf, both thank you and apologies for not being here. I also want to take one moment to introduce our staff that's here. There's a few people in the back who've been just extraordinary making this trip happen for our team. So Casey Florence and Lauren Georgeson, they worked with Dean and myself on doing the application to the NFL that made this opportunity possible. Zach Emdy, who's going to probably be seeing a lot of, will be working with us on some of our youth activities, and Brian Georgeson in the back who's been handling all the technical aspects here. So they came a long way to make all this happen. To Akis and Nissim Active, thank you all very much for the incredible job. Russ is one of our lawyers who's here. Thank you for being here. So this really is a truly amazing and special time and place for us. For the first time I met Mr. Spanos over 20 years ago, he'd always talked about his vision and dream for bringing an NFL team like the Chargers and bringing an NFL game to Greece. But the international program of the NFL really was evolving at the time, 20 years ago, when his dad was still very active in the team, still alive. But it really wasn't possible. It was really in the burgeoning times of building international markets, first in the United Kingdom and then in Mexico and other places. So it started out in what was 2 countries where the NFL had housed teams and games, to explode today to there being, I think there are 21 markets around the world and 25 teams. So it was really this opening of the window of the international program of the NFL that made this possible for us. And when the window opened, Dean jumped at it. I mean, this is truly nothing more than an opportunity for him to come to Greece and really expose the game that he loves to the country that he loves. I'm sure for those of you who are aware, we'll hope we try to make you aware of the long-standing history that he and his dad and his family have had with Greece, going way back. His father, Alex Spanos, was awarded the Greek Medal of Honor. He was very involved in relief efforts after the earthquake and after the fires here. Was instrumental in rebuilding the Greek church that tragically fell after 9/11 in New York. And so these are things that have been very near and dear to him, to their adopted home. Both his parents were Greek, born in Greece, as were Dean's mother. So this is really an amazing opportunity for us. So folks have asked me as I've traveled around the last couple of days, what's your really vision for bringing the Chargers and the NFL to Greece? And we understand that we're going to have to pay our dues and work hard and begin to develop a fan base here, and that's really our objective as we move forward over the next several years of building a fan base for the NFL. We want to work collaboratively with all of our partners in the NBA and others that are here, as well as our Greek partners, just to expose the country to the magic of the NFL and what's possible. I mean, it's very tough, as you all know, when our games are on TV at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, to begin to see what the NFL is like and really learn the game. And that's something we have to address. It's something we have to work through. We met with folks that have the broadcast rights and how we make things possible and show tape telecast of games and do some things and bring some watch parties and bring some of the excitement and fun of the NFL. But we'll do that. That's part of our plan. But we also want to start small. And there's no better way, I think, to really expose the country to the NFL than to start with youth sports and youth football. It's been a very important mission of our team as well as the NFL. There are now literally hundreds of thousands and millions of kids around the world outside the U.S. that are playing flag football. I think there are over 2 million in Mexico alone. There's over 200,000 in China. Across the globe, at international markets now, flag football has really taken on. As those of you, I'm sure you're aware, in 2028, the next Los Angeles Olympics, flag football will be the first time it was ever played. We have all kind of dreams and visions about what would be possible here. I think it's going to be difficult to field a team for the 28 Olympics, but we certainly can use that opportunity as the world starts paying attention to begin to build something for future Olympics to happen here. But we intend to start small and really start with some youth camps. We've met with a number of folks here to begin that process. Zach will be overseeing it on our behalf to really, find a way to generate some interest and excitement from the youth here to really fall in love with the NFL like we have. So, as I've said, it's really an honor to be here with all of you. I can't thank folks from our embassy and others from the Greek embassies around who've been so inviting and welcoming to us. It truly has felt like home, and so thank you all. I welcome any questions or opportunities or fill in any blanks, but thank you all for the opportunity. It's truly exciting on behalf of the Spanos family and the Los Angeles Chargers.
Thank you so much, Mr. Maas.
Key factors that led you to invest here besides the chairman's route, the Greek roots of the chairman?
Well, I think first and foremost, it was really his roots and interest in the country and how much he loves it here. You know, this is something that has gone on for years with he and his family. But he was recently honored by the Greek government. They issued a stamp in his honor, along with another American and other Greeks around the world. And that really got him seriously thinking about how we could generate some interest among the NFL to generate some interest here. And you know better than I do, while football is really in its infancy here, and maybe not it is, I mean, not quite yet, but it's a country that loves sports. Football ties its roots to early games that happened here in Greece. And what better way to honor the country and the legacy of his family and the team than to begin to start some interest in the NFL and ultimately bring the game to the wonderful country. So I think that was really it. It was something just evolved over time.
Thank you very much.
Morning. Welcome to Ελλάδα, Mr. Maas. Dean Sirios with the National Herald, which is the main Greek American newspaper and friend of Mr. Spanos. You made very good points, and as an American expat, we're very excited, but I think you know, in addition to reaching out to young Greeks, there are many expats here, Greeks descent and not of Greek descent, and more are coming. So a fan base is partly here and is coming. But my question is, have you spoken to any of the schools that are either American schools, like the American Community Schools, has a strong athletic program, and other international schools that have strong American elements, where there are kids that would be interested in learning and playing football?
Thank you for that question. In fact, yes, we have. And we've been here a day and a half, so we've not been able to cover as many of the bases as we intend to. But we did meet with the American College of Greece and had a long meeting yesterday. Zach met with them today to talk about affiliations and things we could do collaboratively with them. I'm learning about the fan base here. What I didn't appreciate, for example, there's about 4,000 people around the country who get together and have watch parties in the middle of the night to watch our games. And that's always kind of a good incubator for how we then build upon that as we begin to build a program here. So the answer is absolutely yes, and we'll meet with anybody and everybody. That's really our objective for Greek expats and others.
Perfect. Here, Mr. Sarifis.
Hello, Vangelis Sarifis from I'm experts in underdogs TV media. I detect a little bit of pessimism over here because of the time difference and the fact that the sport might be a little. Let's take things a little different. There's a big fan base, big compared to other countries, European, that love American football over here. And there are two facts that we should take under consideration. Number one, the mainstay of the games happens on 8 o'clock on Sunday night until 1 o'clock, which is a very, very reasonable time. And plus, this is the age of the mobile phone, of the highlights and of the superstars. The age of fantasy football and the age of betting. So all that, to my consideration, is the number one factor that can make this sport extremely popular in Europe and extremely popular in Greece, that is hungry for something different than the so-called traditional sports that are famous over here. What I want to ask is this: how far are you ready to invest into promoting the culture of the sport, beginning from the basic rules and adding up all to the games, the highlights and all that, to everything but the mainstream media that is over here?
Well, thank you for that. I'd like you to sit here because you made your opening remarks sort of made a case for us. So thank you. Look, we're prepared to do, I think, everything and more that you suggested to begin to build a fan base here. We're certainly aware of all the elements that happen here that make it possible and interesting for folks to really enjoy the game. It is a complicated game, and there are obstacles and impediments just by time zones and time changes that make it problematic. But there are things that we can do. For example, we talked just yesterday about how we can do a time delay of one of our games and have a watch party here, but show it at an appropriate time after the game had already been played. But at least we could be here and bring players and former players to kind of explain the game and walk through it and really have a learning experience, but also have it be fun. I think it's going to take time. We have no unrealistic vision about how this is going to happen. It's going to take time, but I think it's worth it, and I think ultimately it'll be to the benefit of the country. We have no delusions, and no intention of competing with your football, with soccer, or with basketball. We really want to be collaborative. We really want to be collaborative. But one of the things I think that could be enormously helpful to the country is tourism is obviously very important to this country over the long haul, and exposing it to the football fans around the world is an incredible opportunity here that we hope that we can all prosper by.
This is Giuliano from Liberal.
Hello and welcome. We love numbers, so I want to ask if you can share the amount you are going to invest in Greece, and also when the program will begin, and also the locations. It's also only in Athens or around the Greece?
Did Mr. Spanos put you up to that question about how much we're going to spend? Look, we're prepared to invest, I think, what it takes. Again, this is not going to be about spending a lot of money, although we're prepared to spend a lot of money. I mean, even a trip like this, you can imagine, was expensive and is a significant investment on behalf of the team and the family just to come here to make this draft pick possible. So I think this is, if you need some experience of the commitment we've made, we've got 5 people here trying to make all this happen. But we also know it takes time. There's no amount of money who's going to suddenly show up and make Greece an NFL-loving country. It's going to take a long time. I think starting small and building youth programs and starting watch parties, beginning to grow the base that some of you have just discussed, I think is the way to do that. But I think you should also know the family's got long experience of making significant investments here in the country. After the earthquake relief, they made several $1 million. After the fires, I think they gave $1 million in 2007, $10 million to rebuild a church after 9/11. So I mean, there's a long history of the philanthropic interest of the Spanos family in Greece. So I think I don't want to be stuck with a number because it might be significantly more, but I don't want to mislead anybody. It's going to take some time to work hard, but we intend to start right away. We had some meetings over the last couple of days as we've sat back and tried to digest all the information we've got. But we'd like to start thinking about it for our first camp as early as September, see how that goes and see what the level of interest is, and then find whether there's other locations. And we know if we have 8 kids who show up, we have one set of challenges. We have 8,000 kids who show up, we have a second set of challenges. So we'll work through all that, but we'd like to start the process of these watch parties and the camps as soon as the fall if possible.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Mr. Maas. My name is Yannis Prosopάρχης with TTX.gr, with your experts, and Antidotes TV. I think that the nature of your public announcement about the youth football leagues, football camps, shows that the vision for a long-term investment in Greece, and I appreciate that. I wanted to ask you because there is a growing base of people that are gathering and playing flag football, would you consider supporting the creation of a Greek youth Greek flag football league?
If there was the interest, absolutely. I mean, we've started, not we, actually Zach was in the back of the room, started with a nascent idea of creating one with actually the music icon Snoop Dogg. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with Snoop. Well, Zach started a program with Snoop Dogg and a former player, not of the Chargers, but of the Cincinnati Bengals, TJ Ushkazada, and the two of them created an incredible league for, I think there's 1,500 kids that are now involved in that program just in Los Angeles alone. So we've had great experience in creating these leagues, and that would be a huge sign of success, I think, for us. So we'd love to do that. I think we need to start out first getting the base of kids who can participate in such a league.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Lapiris from Tanea Lima.
Good morning, Mr. Maas. We have some beautiful football stadium in Greece, in Athens, and some other town in Greece. Do you have any thought in the future to make maybe a demonstration game for the fans? And is it possible to make a game in a football stadium to make it NFL?
I think there's no limit to the possibilities. I mean, if you fashion in a dream world what would be possible, I mean, you go back to one of the historic places in Greece where sport became popular around the world. That's obviously very enticing to us. But bringing a game here involves a lot more than just the Los Angeles Chargers. Greece was not, to be very candid about, was not on the top list of international markets for the NFL. For simple reasons. I mean, they've gotten very good at understanding where NFL fans are around the world, and are pretty good at somehow mining all that to develop a future fan bases. And Greece just did not have that here, but it was really Mr. Spano's interest in trying to build that fan base here that allowed the NFL to say, okay, we'll make a commitment to you. Let's see how the program goes. So it's going to take some time before we can get the support of the NFL to bring a game here at some point, because I think that's the ultimate test of success. But we're certainly committed to it, and I can't make any commitments to whether it'll be 5 years or 10 years or how long it will take, because moving a game is a huge exercise. We played several international games and know what that's like. We're actually playing a game in Brazil this year in September. And so to move not just one but two teams, and all the issues that you have in locating here and how it affects the rest of the season because of travel time requires a lot of logistical work, irrespective of the fan base. But that's certainly our goal, and we want to try and build that to make it possible to invite the league here, because I think that the comparisons and analogies to the history of sport and what you all have done over the years, now important you've been to the evolution of sport, football, would be an incredible story for us and the league around the world.
Thank you. Mrs. Longley from NFLGreece.
Kalimera. Stephanie Longley from NFLGreece. Welcome to Greece, Mr. Maas. You started this press by mentioning the NFL draft, and congratulations on the pick of Omar Hampton. I hope he works out for you. In your article regarding this project, you mentioned that there will be a live pick announcement from Greece on day 3. I wanted to ask more details about that, and what other immediate promotional stuff you have planned here.
Thank you for that. I probably was remiss in not talking about the pick, because that really was the reason that we put this trip together within just several days, because when the league offered the opportunity to come here for the third day of our pick, we leapt at it. And so here we put the trip together. I mean, for those of you who don't know anything about the NFL draft, it really is the practical start of the NFL season for us. Even though we won't play our first games until the preseason games in August and September, and even though the legal period for the NFL season starts in March, the practical period really begins with our draft. And it's a process by which all the teams participate, and there are 7 rounds that happen over a 3-day period. And all your rookies, your first-year players that are coming out of college, get the opportunity to be drafted by a team. We have 10 of those over 7 rounds because of some complicated NFL rules. But for the first time, they've offered us to come and take one of our picks the third day and introduce that to Greece, from Greece. And just to give some context, the NFL draft, the last couple of years, has had more people watching it than have watched the NBA championship game, the Baseball World Series, the NHL hockey championships, and there are 15 to 17 million people that watch just the NFL draft. So to have that kind of exposure to your country and Mr. Spano's beloved country, that attention was just too good to pass up. So that's really the reason we're here. We tend to do the third day. We picked a site it'll be in the evening, so we'll have a nighttime view of the Acropolis. We thought the best way to make a statement in the 30 seconds we have to make our pick, but we'll be doing one of our third picks on Saturday. So thank you for asking.
Thank you.
Thank you for promoting Greece. Mr. Dean Karnazes, the ultramarathon runner from California.
Hey, I'm a Greek-American Dean Karnazes. Have you tried souvlaki?
I work for a Greek owner, so I've been souvlaki for a long time.
We talked earlier, Greece is the birthplace of the Olympics. Flag football is a new Olympic sport in LA in 2028. Have you considered sponsoring the Hellenic Olympic team to bring a football team, a Greek football team, to the Olympics in 2028 to play flag football?
That's a great question, and it's something we've looked at in great detail. The challenges are just the practicalities of the qualifying for the Olympics. So yeah, if there were enough interest here, the answer is absolutely yes. The problem is getting enough interest. So the qualifying games for the Olympics are going to be starting pretty soon here, by probably the end of the year, first of next year. So to begin to field enough players to actually make a team is just problematic as we talk to folks in the Olympic Committee. But if there were the interest here, we'd certainly explore it, no question about it. I think a more reasonable would probably be the subsequent Olympics, but it's certainly something we've talked about internally.
And is the NFL, are the players expressing an interest in an Olympic team? And how will they be chosen?
Well, the TBD. We've obviously not got any of the NFL players, and yet there's still some determination of whether the NFL players will all qualify even for the flag football.
I know a good Greek defense event that's here now. We have a good Greek defense event start the team.
You sit here.
Thank you.
He's talking about George Karlaftis.
Next question by Mr. Balbarin from Cosmopolitan 24.
Hi, Mr. Maas. Thank you very much for being here. Taking in consideration that American football here in Greece is really now growing a lot with George Karlaftis being twice NFL champion and 3 times in the finals in the Super Bowl. I would like to ask you, in this white paper you have in front of you, which are the 3 first bullets you have to fill? And your strategic, let's say, in your mind, you think it's going to be the most important things to do just to grow the sports in Greece and giving this dream to be reality of the Spanos family.
Well, thank you for the question. I'm not sure which I appreciate the Karlaftis reference. He's somebody we obviously know well. He plays for our nemesis, the Kansas City Chiefs. But he's someone we have enormous respect for. He's truly a great player and is a great representative of this country. And we're all friends off the field. And he's incredible for the country. So it's an honor for our team to play against him. I'm a big believer in keeping it simple. I wish I had a white paper that magically said, when you finish reading this white paper, here's what success is going to look like. But I think we need to start small, and we need to crawl before we can walk, and walk before we can run. So I think we just need to start, begin building a youth fan base and youth programs, and making sure that that's successful, so that we can, because I think that's going to be the greatest way to begin to introduce football, frankly, to their parents. That's the first thing we need to do. The second thing we need to do is, begin to explore the existing fan base. What we heard from the league was not anywhere near what we've heard since we've been here, and didn't realize that there were a amount of people here that were either expats or others who love the sport, some because of gambling, some because of fantasy, some because they can't sleep, I guess. But how do we begin to build that fan base and create some watch parties around the country? And third, what does it look like over the next period of time, whether it's 2 or 5 or 10 years, to actually bring a game here? And I think that would be our roadmap for success. I wish if there were in my white paper, I would have printed it, but I think that's a reasonable timeline and strategy for us to define success.
Mr. Kikidis from Gazeta.gr.
Yes, we've been hearing a lot about the youth program. So, what do you believe are the key factors in order to convince the youth or even their parents to enroll their children in a draft, in an NFL draft, instead of a classic football, soccer academy or basketball academy?
Well, I think the formula is one that's universal. Number one, how do you make it fun? And how do you bring something that's different to them, that's worthy of their time, worthy of their parents' time, but it's organized in a way that's not trying to drill football strategy into them, but to go out and have a good time and understand how much fun it can be, and what the sport itself has to offer. So I think that's really the objective early on, is just to get as many kids as we can to go. We call it football camp, and it really is a camp, and it's meant to be more than just come learn football strategy, learn to understand the intricacies of the game, because it can be a complicated game, even for Americans. But I think we start small and make it fun. Fun for them, fun for their parents, and I think it's something else to do. And I think, over time, I think Flag is a really good introduction for them to experience all that. So that's certainly the hope. And I think the formulas, whether it's been in China or the UK or Mexico or Brazil or other places around the world that have built these flag football programs, it's been the same formula pretty much. So we hope it's worked. Other places will work here as well.
Thank you for your answer. Mr. Christotakis?
Hi, yeah. So my question is are the Chargers interested in having this kind of events, like the day 3 peak or training camps, youth camps, as an annual anchor, rotation of events?
What we'd like to do is not have it be annual. We'd like to have it be ongoing and regularly here. So we'd be starting doing things all throughout the year as a regular dialogue, not just show up for 3 days, have a press conference and move on, but really begin to have a real program. We hope to find people who are going to be working with Akis and his team to get a long-term program to begin building this, and it'll take place throughout the year. So as milestones, I think, Zach, with the league, we'll certainly include Greece as a way to advertise those things.
Mrs. Longley again.
Yeah.
Microphone.
Hello again. I wanted to ask if, apart from Greece and other countries that have been mentioned, are there any other plans for expansion in other European cities or other cities around the world that you're aware of in the future?
Well, I'm not sure if you'd asked my question 2 years ago. I thought we'd be in 21 markets today because the expansion has been pretty robust, and I think it's happening quick. I don't think anyone. 2 years ago, if we had talked about Greece, I don't think it would have been on anyone's radar screen or made it possible. It really is a tribute to Mr. Spanos and his relationship with the other owners to make this possible. But the same is true for China. The same is true for New Zealand and Australia and other places around the world that now have similar international market programs like this. So I don't think there's any limit to the exposure of the league. As you know, lots of things have happened. The Taylor Swift phenomenon has created levels of interest in the NFL well beyond any of the international markets we thought possible. I don't think there's any limits to it, quite frankly. And I think it's one of the exciting things. It's a sport we love, and so I think the more exposed people get it, I think the better off for all of us. Certainly the Super Bowl has got 200+ million people now a year who watch it. So I don't think that there's any boundaries to what's possible.
Thank you.
Any other question?
Thank you. I'd like to bring you all to California. I appreciate your civility and your questions, but it doesn't always happen like this when we're home. So thank you all. It's been a real delight the last few days.
We have one more question, Mr. Schultz.
Yes, just to pick up the conversation a little bit. I would like Fred to explain to the journalist how hard it was to add Greece, in the NFL map, and what is the procedure. And second of all, you talk about a little bit about tourism. So can we give a couple of numbers? For example, the visibility of the last 5 days in your TikTok regarding the draft, about the NFL fans. How many people follow the NFL all over the world? And how this can affect Greece in a way that through sport that we never thought about.
Well, it's one of the amazing things about the NFL that its reach and influence around the world is really no limits. And so, this again, I can't say this strong enough. It's really a testament to Mr. Spanos and his family and their ability to persuade the other owners to come to Greece and make this possible. Because it really was not on their radar screen, not because of any particular reason other than the amount of football fans that they'd identified through their various channels. But it was really his influence and his commitment here to make a program work and begin to build a fan base that made all this possible. I think I mentioned this earlier, but if I didn't, I'd like to emphasize it. One of the things that's obviously important to the country, and we've heard this resounding from all the meetings we've had the last few days, is that tourism is enormously important here. And how we begin to tourist, for example, in California, which is not, they've not seen the influx of tourists there that they probably like. It's just a good thing to have Los Angeles on the radar screen. You talked about TikTok. Just in the draft alone in the last 5 days, we've had 12 million views on TikTok, just on our own channels, not including the NFL channels. You know, they have, I don't know, 15 or 17 million followers on Instagram. So if you just look at the social media influence of the NFL, our team, and these experiences, it will be incredible exposure to Greece. I mean, I'm not going to make any predictions of what our third day pick is going to be like, depending on who announces the pick for us. But the Acropolis view, I think, is going to be pretty incredible, and we're working to get that on both, it'll be on the NFL network, but also on ESPN around the world. So, you know, I think the opportunities are limitless, and we've just seen enormous growth in our own channels as well as the NFL. So, you know, I think for any country or any citizen or journalist, I mean, you want the NFL here if you can, because they bring so many things with them to promote and assist your country.
Great to hear about it. Since we have many journalists also from the tourism sector, Mr. Dionysis Kapatos from Sport FM would like to ask also a question.
You mentioned there.
Just a second to get you the microphone.
It is an honor for us to be here. You mentioned it is an honor for us, Mr. Maas, to be here. You mentioned earlier about the importance of building a sports fan base here in Greece of NFL and American football. Are you planning to have any conversation with any Greek sports club here in Greece, or any people from Greek sport club here in Greece?
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone we won't meet with across the board. And, you know, if no other reason to make people understand that we want to be collaborative and want to work with them and build a program and do it in a way that you know, I'm a true believer, as we say back home, a rising tide lifts all boats. And we really believe in the rising tide here, so there's no limits other than time. This trip, obviously, we didn't have that, but we intend to be back and have a real regular presence here, so the answer is absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Okay, perfect. Anyone else? Any other question related to the initiative of Los Angeles Chargers? And of course tomorrow's day, which is also about a huge activity for Greece and Athens. I don't know, if you don't have any other questions, we will move on to the one-on-one meetings that we'll have and the exclusive interviews that Mr. Maas will give, but we have one more question, huh?
No, we will wait for Mr. Matatas. He's coming in the next 2 minutes.
Okay, perfect. So, we can ask a couple of questions more.
I'll ask one other question. Most Greeks have not even seen football. You know, I mean, I played flag football with Pop Warner. You know Pop Warner, the program. Is there any initiative to get footballs into Greek sports retailing chains, just so a kid can see what a football looks like, an American football?
Well, we obviously need to explain what a football looks like. I think it's premature. When we get as many footballs, we need as many chains as we can. I think it's incumbent upon us to make people understand what that is before we begin to reach the retailers here. But we haven't even begun the process yet of working with some of our partners and how we do that. I think, as many of you are probably aware, Nike is a huge partner of the Chargers, but also a huge part of the NFL, and how we use those relationships, and many of our other partners who are great brands here in Greece, to get them to help us get the word out. But you can't, like I said, we can't start to walk before we start crawling. That's all part of the process of crawling. Thank you.
Well, on the back, Mr. Sirius from the National Herald.
Just want to comment, observation based on Mr. Fernandez's good point. There are ways to explain and present American football to Greeks. For example, they may not have seen American football games. Many know about rugby because they watch European TV on their TV networks. The other thing is that the overall architecture of American football, soccer, hockey, and basketball is basically the same. The teams try to go, they march across the field, across the court. In one sport, they stick the ball in the basket. The other, they hit it to goal. And in American football, they cross a line for a goal. So I imagine that you're looking at people that have the ability, like the young lady here, who know the game very well, who are able to present in an articulate and informative and entertaining way American football to the Greek audience.
Thank you.
What is the question?
No, I
just okay. I was expecting something. So,
thank you all.